Alright, let's get this thing started. What's going on, YouTube? Thanks for stopping by on this quick little video. Actually, I'm not sure how quick it'll actually be, but it's going to be a nice, helpful video for everybody out there that's thinking about getting a roommate, whether it be in a dorm or an apartment, no matter where you go, renting a house. This is going to be something that's going to help you, especially if you're moving in with who you perceive to be your best friend. Now, thanks for coming to this channel. My name is Eliseo. I like to do videos on vlogs and tech on this channel. I also have a second channel for gaming news, mostly about Pokemon and mobile games. So if you want to check out that channel, make sure you follow the link down below. Otherwise, consider subscribing to this channel and giving this video a quick thumbs up. Like I said, this is going to be a fun channel of vlogs, and occasionally I'll have things like this to help people out, whether it be roommates or anything else in life that I feel like I can inform people on to help them out with. And tech. I love tech whenever I can afford it. Anyways, let's get started with this video. Today we're going to be talking about the roommate agreement. Now, this is something that I never heard of before. I had my first apartment to myself I guess a few years ago now, or a couple years ago. I don't remember. It's been a little while. But I fairly recently had my first apartment. And then not long after I had my apartment, I had a friend move in with me that was in dire need of a place to stay. Now, I will get into the story of why I feel like you need to do this roommate agreement later on with the things that happened to me with not my last roommate, but the roommate before that. And you'll start to understand why it should be a requirement to do a roommate agreement. Now, one of the biggest reasons to do this roommate agreement is because it can be upheld in court. Now, a judge is not going to uphold something like having your roommate sweep off the balcony or vacuum the floor or clean up the room or clean the bathroom. The judge is not going to uphold that. What a judge will most likely uphold is breaking the rules with financial decisions, such as how much rent somebody's supposed to pay, how much they're supposed to pay towards utilities, electric, gas, water, sewer, whatever. The judge will most likely uphold that 9 times out of 10. And the judge may also uphold certain rules being broken. Things like somebody throwing parties and damaging things and whatnot. Those are some of the benefits towards this roommate agreement. The only negative side to this thing is going to be the awkwardness of bringing it up to your potential roommate. When you go to somebody and propose a legally abiding agreement with them, people are going to be a little, maybe not. They're going to be a little cautious about it. But trust me, this will save you, your friend, and possibly your friendship in the end from any headaches that could arise if you didn't do this agreement, which is something I had to learn the hard way. Now, I found a nice little website, well, a few. One of them, I'll link it down below. They'll give you an example of what kind of roommate agreement will look like and how you can draft it up and such, and some suggestions that you can have for it. Now, on this website, you will see right here that they'll have space for roommate 1 and roommate 2. You can add to it if there's more than 2 roommates going on, and it'll lay out the terms, the rent agreements, everything that's going on with it. Now, for some ideas of what you would want in this said roommate agreement are going to be rules of, say, having guests over, what time guests can and cannot be allowed during that time. And again, this agreement is going to be an agreement, not something that you will get everything going your way or the other person's way. You two will need to make compromises in said agreement. Now, like I was saying, one of the agreements should be people coming over, how late and how long they can be over or should be over. If you're somebody that has to get up early in the morning for work or work out or do whatever, and the other person is kind of a night owl, you should probably agree on something very quickly about what to do about people coming over and the noise level at night. If you are easily disturbed or if they like to do things loudly and such. That's something you should definitely write down in there so that there's no confusion later on, or like how a lot of people like to make oral agreements that can be forgotten very quickly and very easily, which is something that happened in my case again. Write it down. Write down the times, write down the level, the noise levels, everything. Write it all down. It can save you frustration and a headache later on, and it can prevent, potential butting of heads later on. Another thing I would suggest to you is things about somebody bringing over their significant other, whether it be overnight, for a little while, what have you. You guys should have an agreement upon that. Whether that be if your roommate can leave, their significant other at the apartment by themselves or not, or if they can even have them over at certain times, or if you would like a heads up if that significant other will be staying the night with your roommate. These are things you should think about having in the agreement because it will save you problems later. Another thing you should have in this agreement would be smoking. If you are like me and you're allergic to cigarette smoke, have a place where they can be designated to go smoke at where it won't bother you very much. Also, please write down in there that they'll have to keep that area clean. Now, I don't know if this is a smoker's thing or if it was just something from my experience, but smokers tend to leave their stuff, ash, cigarette butts, all over the place. And we had pets, so you don't want to potentially get, if you have pets sick from eating these butts or kids eating these butts or anything, make sure you write down in there that they have to keep that area clean where there will be smoking if it's easily accessible to everybody and everything under that roof. And like I was saying earlier, make sure you write down the financial responsibilities of everybody, how much everybody's going to pay in rent, how much they're going to be paying in electricity, sewer. I can't stress that enough. Make sure you write that down. Internet. Don't forget the internet in that bill too, because people seem to forget about the internet bill, internet and cable. So make sure you write all that down. That way there's no confusion later on. And since the internet can be, limited or throttled or have a ceiling, I can't remember what it's called, but when you have a data cap, that's what it is. When your internet has a data cap, make sure you write down how much everybody should put in towards, taking care of that overcharge for overstepping your data, because that can really have an impact on your friendships and such. Now, like I said, I'll have a link to the example down below for the roommate agreement and, get more information or ideas on what you should have in the agreement. Now it's time for story time on why I believe you should have this agreement even if you're moving in with your best friend. And I have to say, probably especially if you're moving in with your best friend. I'm not going to use my old roommate's name just to, protect his identity and all that and such, whatever. So, let's get to it. My old roommate was somebody I considered a brother back then. He and I got along crazy well. We had similar interests. We were best buds. We were like brothers. And so, going into it, we were thinking that this was going to be fine. It's going to be living with your best friend. It's just going to be nothing but fun. And that's how it was for a while. It was great. We had lots of fun, joked around. It was a blast being with your best friend during that time, especially during, whatever hard times whichever the other person was going through. Well, things started going downhill very quickly. I don't know if he was suffering from depression or whatnot, or what was going on, but there were some issues that started arising. When I was talking about cigarettes, writing down the agreement about what to do when it comes to a smoker, keeping the place clean, sanitized, storing away their cigarette butts, everything. When my friend started smoking, he started leaving cigarette butts all over the place. He started leaving it, there was a balcony where he was designated to smoke at because I can't be around a smoke. I'm allergic, I have asthma. I would probably literally die. So he was to smoke on the balcony. He had an ashtray and he very rarely emptied that ashtray, and he left his cigarette butts all over the ground out on our balcony. And we had dog and cats. And if you have animals or pets, you will know that if they got a hold of said cigarette butts and ate them, they can get really sick, really sick. So it seemed like to me maybe he was getting lazy about cleaning it up. He didn't want to take the time out to pick up his stuff and bring it in. So what I did for him was I gave him a trash can out on the balcony for him to throw his stuff in. It made a slight change at first, but it didn't really change anything. And I really wish we had an agreement about this, because it was disgusting, for one, to have cigarette stuff all over the place out there where it's supposed to be a shared balcony. And two, it was a health hazard for my fur babies. So that's why I highly suggest putting something down, even if somebody doesn't smoke, because my friend did not smoke at first and then he picked up the habit later on. Even if somebody doesn't smoke, make sure you get that down in the roommate agreement, because it can sneak up on you and it could get really bad really quickly. And especially if you have kids, you don't want the kids eating that stuff because it's just bad. That's the thing with smoking. The next thing I want to talk about is perhaps the cleaning stuff. Now, my roommate's bathroom was disgusting. I actually have a video of it that I probably shouldn't show in this video. It was very disgusting, and it made me embarrassed to have people come over to hang out, because I did not want them going into that bathroom. It was embarrassing. And his bathroom was the one that was the guest bathroom that everybody could use. Well, any guest that came over could use. My wife and I, we had our own master bathroom that we used because it was our apartment first. He just came in afterwards, so we were already in a master bedroom that we kept clean ourselves, and so we'd have our guests go in and use our bathroom because his bathroom was disgusting. And another thing about the cleaning, one day my wife and I decided to go on vacation, so we left out of town. We asked him to watch over our animals, and he said he'd do it, no problem at all. And when we got back home, this is something you should put in an agreement. If one person goes on vacation and the others ask to watch over their animals, make sure they clean and watch over the animals. Because when we got back home, mind you, we had no warning of anything. We came back home to our apartment floor, had vomit all over the place. The water fountain that we had for our animals was knocked over and dry, so it must have meant that it had to be empty for at least a day or two. The litter box for the cats, it wasn't just our cat using it, but mind you, his cat was also using it, was overfilled and filthy. There was litter everywhere, poop, pee, everywhere around that litter box. It was disgusting. There was vomit out on our patio, along with all the nasty cigarette butts. And the kitchen was a wreck. It was disgusting. It was a nightmare to come home to. Nobody wants to come home to their home a complete filthy mess of a nightmare. And that was horrible. That was what really started to cause tension between my wife and I, and who used to be my best friend. So that's another reason why you should also include cleaning in said roommate agreement. Next thing that would happen would be him getting a girlfriend. So when I say in the roommate agreement to have rules about having significant others over, you should definitely take heed to what my story has to say for you to have ideas of what to put in your roommate agreement. I know that was a very weird sentence, but bear with me. It was horrible. So what I suggest to you in your roommate agreement is to have rules about when the significant other can come over, how long they can be over, whether or not they can be left there by themselves in your apartment, and whatever else. Now here's the story behind that. So my old roommate got a girlfriend who we could tell was already a bad apple, but we weren't going to say anything because it's not any of our business. We kept asking him if we could meet her, get to know her. Because we thought maybe we were just unjustly judging her, and that we felt like we should get to know her to maybe be more okay with her being over there, because this was just out of nowhere that he just started bringing this girl over who we had no idea who she was. And we kept asking her, months were going by, and we probably only actually saw her maybe 4 times in total, and it was just all in passing with her coming and going. Most of the time we were in our room because we just didn't want to deal with that whole situation. Okay, I'll take that back. We weren't mostly in our room because of that. We were in our room for other reasons, but we were also out in the living room a lot, and we still never really got the chance to meet her or talk to her. I barely remember her name, actually, so if that says anything. We also learned later on that she likes to steal things. Whether how serious it was or not, we don't know, but he was telling us about this time when they were at a store and she stole some items from said store. They were small items, but still, when you hear that somebody is coming over to your home that's a thief, you start putting up red flags. You start worrying about things. So that was an issue for us of having a thief coming over to our home. What made things worse than that, and this is why I said, have rules about them, the significant other being there by themselves, is that he was leaving her at our apartment by herself when nobody was home. He was gone, I was gone, my wife was gone. Nobody was home. And this woman that we barely know, who we also know was a thief, was staying there by herself. Now, I don't know anybody who would be okay with having somebody that's a known thief to be in their home by themselves. I really don't know anybody that would be okay with that. And we brought it up with him and he just kind of flipped out on us about it. He brought up how we had an old friend of ours come stay with us for a few days or a couple days. And I tried to explain to him that that instance was different because, for one, that person became homeless suddenly, which is something that I would hope that he'd understood because he became homeless suddenly and we brought him in. And so when our friend that we'd known for a while became homeless suddenly and we brought her in to help her out for a couple days, you would think he'd understand, but no, he had a problem with that. And I don't know if it's because of everything that was going on with him that clouded his judgment and thoughts, but yeah, he tried to use that as an excuse, which was a no-go. And it was just crazy that he was leaving this woman at our apartment by herself. And he wasn't even on the lease of our apartment. He wasn't. We brought him in off of our good graces to help him out. And so he repaid us by treating us like crap, essentially. So there's that. Have an agreement about significant others being over. Now, another story I want to talk about, this is something else you can put in the agreement, is have rules in there about when somebody wants to move out. Have it in the rules where the person has to inform everybody like at least a month ahead of time that they're going to be moving out, and have them actually give you an accurate timeline of when they plan on moving out. And if this is not really necessary, but you can also include it in there that the person moving out has to try to find somebody that can replace them if you're all sharing rent and you can't afford it on your own, to find someone that can replace them in the apartment to help cover the rent. Somebody that everybody can agree on that would be a good fit to be there. Not just some Joe Schmo that the roommate that's moving out finds and wants to throw in there. It has to be somebody that everybody agrees on. Now, the reason why I say this is because my old roommate, this was like the last straw, is that he was telling us that he was planning on moving, but that he wasn't going to move until like 2 or 3 months later, like from when he told us he was going to move. So we were like, okay, cool. We'll figure out what we can do to either get another roommate or figure out financially what we were going to do to take care of his part of the rent and stuff leaving. Then comes to find out that literally like a week later, he moved out. A week later, moved out, didn't say a word to us, and timed it because the day he moved out, he knew that we were going to be gone all day, my wife and I, because we were telling him that we were going to be gone that day for something we were doing. I think it was like a date or something in Seattle. And so he chose to move out that day while we were gone all day without saying a word. Just left. It was crazy. So that's why I say make sure that you have in there. I guess that part in the agreement won't really help at all with anything. I guess you could put in there in the agreement that if the person moves out significantly before when they said they were going to be out, that maybe they can still, or they still have to put money towards rent and stuff like they normally would for however long is agreed upon in the agreement. So that's an idea you can put in the agreement. Also, something else I just remembered, pets in the agreement, whether or not pets are allowable, pets can come and go, how often, how many, whatever. Sad story, we got a cat and the cat bonded with him more, so we gave him the cat. And so the place that he moved to was a place where there were dogs that hated cats and would kill the cat. So you should have any agreements that if you're going to give somebody a pet or an animal, or if they're moving somewhere where the pet wouldn't be safe, that either A, the pet would be left with you for the time being, or go to Humane Society, what have you. They need to figure something out with the pet. And a little extra bonus, advice for you. If you're going to give a pet to somebody that you like adopted from a Humane Society like we did, make sure that person registers the pet in their own name. Our old roommate never registered the pet in his name. When he took the cat, I should have called the cops and had him return the cat, but I didn't, because for starters, he never changed the registration of the cat into his name, so it was still registered in my name. Later on, I went to the registration and put in there that I gave the cat away, but he never did it. He never paid the fees, and they were coming to me for the fees. So that's just an extra bonus advice for you. So those are the reasons why I say you should get a roommate agreement. There are some stories I'm sure I forgot about to give more examples of why you should do the roommate agreement, but those are essentially the reasons why you should get a roommate agreement. I cannot say it enough times. Do a roommate agreement, whether it be somebody you don't know, somebody you were kind of matched up with, whether it be like in a dorm, because this works for dorms as well at a college, or if it's your best friend, because it can save your friendship. I wish so dearly that my old roommate and I did it, because I really miss being his friend. I really miss his friendship. But unfortunately, because of circumstances and what was going on, and we had no clear agreement on things went downhill, and now he's not my friend anymore. And it's very unfortunate, and it makes me very sad. So those are my reasons why you should get it, do it. Like I said, link down below. If you enjoyed this video, if this video was helpful for you, make sure you give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. Like I said, I like to do vlogs and tech videos and whatnot whenever I can, whenever I'm not so poor. I just really hope this helps you avoid the situation that I was in, because it was horrible, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody, especially to lose your best friend, because I miss him dearly. And I'm sure you will too if you don't do this and save your friendship. Alright, that was a little dramatic. Anyways, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.